I had so many teachers be like, you can't write a song. This isn't how you do it. I'm like, did the Ramones go to music school? Hell no, you know? I became obsessed. A kid who couldn't focus all of a sudden was hyper-focused on riffs and teaching myself how to play.
AT1.
For Audio-Technica and AT1 Radio, this is At Some Time Somewhere. I'm Jacob Derwin. Today I'm joined by Ben Katzman. He is a musician and Survivor player. You might know him from his recent single with Gorilla Toss called Life's a Zoo, or his new podcast, Masters of Reality TV, where you can find wherever you listen to podcasts. Ben, welcome to the show.
What up?
How you doing? What brings you to New York?
I wish I could give a simple answer. Like, we played with Def Leppard in Woodstock on Sunday, and then I was filming another episode of my new talk show, and I'm going to England this weekend, so I'm like kind of just throwing all the spaghetti at the New York Wall right now.
The New York Wall.
And after this, I'm heading out to go see Fish.
So you've played with Trey, right?
Yeah, Trey. The new Gorilla Toss album.
That's
the
right.
one you were mentioning was recorded at the Fish Barn in Vermont.
Was it?
And Trey's cool. He watches Survivor, so his hot takes were great. But he also plays on the album, and I gotta say, he's cool, dude. He's really down to earth, and he's really funny, and he's got a lot of energy. So yeah, he rips.
Yeah, the new EP, it had him and it had Stephen Malcolmus from...
Malcolmus produces it.
He produced it.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Pavement.
Yeah.
Was that mind-boggling for you, or is this just another day in the office at this point?
I feel like for me, I'm like Gorilla Toss's Green Power Ranger. Like, I'm not in the band, but I show up. I show up for the Primus tour or for this album, and they're a great band that I've collaborated with for a long time on and off. But
Sick.
Yeah, it's kind of surreal. Like, I think the whole last few years have been surreal, but it's crazy when you're in a room with somebody whose music, Pavement is one of those bands when I was like 17 and you're coming into an identity of self.
Mm-hmm.
All those lyrics definitely are, thought forming for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then to be in that room with your friends that you've been jamming with for the better part of 15 years, it's kind of nuts. Like, because when you're a kid, you never think you're gonna make it, and what does even making it look like? But I'm proud of them, and it's just cool, dude. I don't know. I wish I sounded less like SpongeBob, but I pinch myself every day.
I mean, it's mind-blowing. I remember seeing the track listing and seeing both their names pop up, and I'm like, that's wild. But then also, you're touring with Def Leppard. You're a hired gun for Mannequin Pussy. Like,
yeah, the Mannequin Pussy thing's funny because I've filled in quite a few times.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm a hired gun on the road, but it's like, oh, so-and-so has to go to a wedding, but we can't cancel this date. I'm like, all right, I'll come
Call
out.
Ben. Yeah.
But back in the day with Gorilla Toss, those early shows or something, all of us were playing basements to like 50 people if we were lucky. And it's cool to see that band specifically has taken such a crazy trajectory and with no compromises. I mean, I think I told Marissa, I was like, when we met, I was like, your band is so sick. And I loved the name, but like, how's that going to go anywhere? And I'm so happy I was wrong,
Where does Gorilla Toss come out of? Is it the Boston scene or is it LA?
Yeah, Boston,
okay.
For sure.
So you went to Berkeley?
Yeah, I went to Berkeley College of Posers.
I was going to ask you, because you dropped out, right? You were there for like a year.
Yeah, I know.
Not even?
My parents are going to be so mad at bringing this up. I was there for a long haul, and it was kind of in the last year where I ran a record label for a while, and all these bands were doing, at that time, marginally well. This is before Instagram, social media. So a lot of these bands were getting asked to go onto bigger labels. Yeah. And then I got to join Gorilla Toss, and then I was going on tour. And I thought that school would encourage that kind of stuff. And at that time, they really didn't. Yeah. So I was told I either got to go to class or my ass is grass. So I delivered with some sass, and I dropped out.
Natural with the rhyme. Is this the first time there's been an ultimatum posed to you about your academic career?
No.
You've been threatened with suspension before.
Yeah, well, this is so unrelated, but when I was on tour, I had a band, Acidosis.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funnily enough, I think we're getting back together 20 years later, but we played some out-of-town shows, and I didn't tell my parents. And my mom was like, "Where were you?" And so she was like, "You think you can do whatever you want?" And I just like got kicked out of the house for like a week or something. I was staying with my friend Jeffrey, who was in the drama program, and he was like, "We got to go to this audition, and then we can go to the house." And I was always like doing, impressions of Christopher Walken, John Travolta, and they were auditioning for Grease. And as a joke, I did all the lines in everybody else's audition. I was not a theater kid. I was definitely much more of like a freak than a geek. And the cast list came out, and it said Danny Zuko, Ben Katzman. I was like, "Who's Danny Zuko? I just want to be John Travolta." And the principal called me into their office, and they're like, "You've had so many absences this year that you're not going to walk at graduation unless you come to school every day and you commit to doing this play."
And you sing Grease Lightning.
Funnily enough, in the play version, Kaniki gets Grease Lightning, so I only really got Summer Lovin'. But
And he
yes.
says he's not a theater kid. He's still
Yeah.
got the facts ready. Oh my God. I mean, someone pointed out to me that the point of Grease is that it's supposed to be played by 30-year-olds who are dressed up like the original Broadway version. They're all just like
the only 30-year-old
oily.
in that play was my hairline, I think.
Oh, has it always been this way?
Kind of. I've always had the Michael Keaton going on.
Hey man, good comparison.
Yeah.
Actually. Not a bad thing.
I could do the eyes for you, but nobody's gonna hear it.
No one's good.
Yeah, hold on. Where's my sunglasses? Camera 1, camera 2. All right. This is my Michael Keaton impression. Hold up. It's just the eyebrows.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Cool.
Thank you for all the effort for the prop comedy. I
Yeah,
appreciate
no
it.
problem, dude.
God bless. Okay, so you went to Berkeley for like a minute.
Yeah.
You're running a label at the same time. You're playing with the bands. You're helping other bands get to bigger
Yeah.
labels, it sounds
I was
like.
working in a studio at the time too. I mean,
Wow.
I love music, so I just wanted to be busy. And
Yeah.
growing up in Miami, there was a scene, but this was like pre-MySpace or something. So it was like, or pre-Facebook.
I was going to say pre-MySpace.
Yeah, it was MySpace time, but
Yeah.
there wasn't social media. It was all about going to shows, being in an active community.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I find myself staying at home doom scrolling. But back in the day, I was like, I want to go see stuff. I want to go be in things.
Mhm.
And that's what you thought. You had to go and do stuff in order to get noticed or recognized. So I was always busy. And I don't know. I remember nobody would book my band. So I'd start calling venues, or like, we played in the back of a grocery store once and would just make things happen. So the progression was very natural to start. I was like, oh, nobody's going to sign a bunch of like punks. Let's make a label, Somehow I ended in Boston, and I remember just being blown away that there was like a ton of bands. There was a touring network. And to think this was like all 2010 to 2015 before Instagram or before Facebook were really used the way it was.
Yeah.
You had to go and live it, and I just wanted to live it.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so involved with doing all this stuff. I wanted to, like, you grow up reading magazines or seeing Wikipedia articles about scenes, and then to be in one, I was like, this is so cool.
So you were really like, community was the thing from the beginning for you.
Yeah, to me, I wouldn't even say community. It's like when you're like 85 and gonna die, like you're on your deathbed. Are you going to be thinking about how many dollars you made or how many likes you got? No, you're going to be thinking about the experiences you had, So hopefully you're thinking about all of it in a good way. But I wanted to experience things. Growing up in Miami, bands didn't tour there. So you would have your own scene going on with your own bands, but it felt like you were playing pretend in a weird way. It didn't feel like you were contributing to the world of music. It felt disconnected from the world and like you were never going to get out. So when I finally did get out, it felt so cool. And I'm talking about Miami back in the day. The world's more connected now. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
Finding for lack of a better term, a stage persona.
Yeah.
I don't think you have one.
Well, it's funny.
I think you're just yourself on stage is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think that's why people, I guess, liked me on Survivor or something. It's like, there are people who are an act, and I think my mind takes me to another prompt where it's like, in the age of social media, everybody's performing all the time.
Constantly.
Even whether you're a musician or an actor, or you're putting on a role to sell something, and then it doesn't become about the thing you're selling, it becomes about the thing you're performing.
Yep.
And as a kid, I mean, I was put in detention a lot. I remember there was a talent show in like first grade, and everybody was performing. I just me and my friend put the Power Rangers theme on, and we just did karate kicks for like 4 minutes. I just have like all this energy, and my parents, I love them, but they worked all the time. So I grew up in front of the TV watching Pete and Pete and Heavyweights and Power Rangers.
Heavyweights.
The best.
I haven't heard of that one in a while.
Oh, my favorite, dude.
Yeah.
Get ready. There's going to be an episode on my pod, but we don't have to cross-promote.
Heavyweights.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But, and I just absorb all these things. And I remember getting to like the age of 10 or something. And, you know, certain things aren't cool anymore, like Pokemon. And then you discover rock and all the stuff. And I really loved like Kiss. I was like, here are a bunch of dudes. And yes, that is a persona. But these are a bunch of dudes that took them being nerds and put on face paint and costumes and sang songs about partying and celebrating life. And I loved the Ramones. All these super visual bands really struck with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I was always me, you know. I think I'm definitely a byproduct of watching, you know, School of Rock or something, or Saved by the Bell.
Well, I noticed that. I was reading the wonderful, very lovely profile that Rolling Stone did on you, and they mention that School of Rock was like a big turning point for you.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Sarah, thank you for the amazing piece.
It's a really nice piece.
I was always musical, and then I got kicked out of a lot of after-school programs just for having so much energy. I wasn't even like a troublemaker. It was just like, you know, Donnie and Wild Thornberries or something. You know? And
Hard to dial in.
Yeah. So my mom went to like an astrologer, and the astrologer was like, he needs an outlet for self-expression. Like, he has a lot of energy, but if you put him in something musical or art-related. So my mom signed me up for piano lessons. And I'd just be at the piano all day just coming up with melodies. And funnily enough, I found some sheet music of like the first song I ever wrote.
Really?
In third grade, called Weirdo, you know.
You were on brand even from the beginning.
Dude,
man.
100%. And I think when you're a kid and you don't fit in, there's like two things that happen, right? And I'll get back to the main story.
Oh, you're good.
But you get bullied for being yourself, and you either do one of two things. You assimilate, and then you become a poser to yourself, or you fly high, and you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm happy being me, and I'm going to work on that. You know? Funnily, later in life, when I remember getting like my first bad reviews, I try and assimilate. But yeah, anyways, back to you saying I'm a persona. I think this is me, you know, and all the bands I identify with were like the people who never compromised on their vision.
Who do you think's doing that now in terms of like the Kiss thing, where it's like, no, this is the I mean the Guar thing, where it's like,
putting on like that kind of stuff,
like performance arty almost.
I guess like Ghost or something, but I'm not really interested. That's the weird thing. It's like, I think back in the day it was provocative because you didn't have social media and there was an air of mystery.
Ooh,
now it's like it's an act to be an act, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the most punk rock and radical thing you can do today is be yourself in this world of like put on, make believe everybody's an act. And, you know, like not everybody's taken psychedelic mushrooms and gotten to the core of being themselves. But I think there are some bands that are really good at like doing their own thing, you know, Mannequin Pussy being one of them. Marissa's so uncompromising with her vision and her lyrics and her attitude. And that's kind of the stuff that I as a fan relate to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
you connect with the artist. Well, let's talk about Kiss for a sec, because anyone who listens to your music, I think, can pretty much immediately hear the influence, and you're very open about your love for the band. So tell me why it resonates with you so much.
I don't know where it stems from. I mean, there's a X-rated story of I was looking for magazines in my house in another family member's room.
You know magazines.
And I found this VHS tape for the movie Detroit Rock City. And as a kid getting out of the superhero thing and starting to like become an adult at like 13 or whatever, I was like, superheroes who rock, sick. And my mom also got me this book, Jews Who Rock. And in the center was this fold of Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. And I'm not religious or anything like that, but, you know, things click. I thought it was so cool that these dudes were breathing fire and blowing up their guitars, but all their songs were like shouted out loud or rock and roll all night. And there were anthems on how to believe in yourself. And I think for a kid who couldn't find his footing and didn't have a lot of friends, believing in yourself is all you got. So it really would get me ramped up. And do I listen to Kiss as much now? Yes. No, but, you know, it's the kind of thing where they really gave me a sense of identity. This is before, and I'm not talking about the Gene Simmons pushing the Kiss coffin and the Kiss credit card. It's really, that's, I think, what resonated with me. And that you had the power to transform yourself from being like unattractive dork into a rock god, which I think all musicians do, subconscious or not. They're making something more of themselves. I think that really set a good foundation for me. You know what I'm saying?
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
I love that. No, the Jews Who Rock book is unbelievable.
Dude, forward by Ben Stiller.
Forward by Ben Stiller?
And it was like, it was cool reading about David Lee Roth. I mean, if you take out the Lee, he's just David Roth. Sounds like he could be an accountant.
I mean, I think there's an IRA named after him.
Yeah, a David Lee Roth IRA.
Yeah, there you go.
And Sammy Davis Jr., which is surprising. But, you know, when you're like 11 or 12 and there's no social media, you could go ask the internet questions, but you wouldn't find it. It was still a world of mystery.
It's not the way it is now. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember learning that like all the great Christmas songs were all written by Jews and just being like, we got them, guys, we're in there.
I will say, for anybody who is listening this far, there's this band, they broke up, Happy Jawbone Family Band from Brattleboro, Vermont. They were huge in the New England DIY scene, toured the world, put out a record on Mexican Summer, but they made a Christmas record, and that's my favorite holiday record. Martian Santa specifically.
That is a crazy cut.
Yeah.
They had a record on Mexican Summer? And
yeah.
How have I never heard of the band? Have there been specific moments along the way, specific shows that come to mind of like certain kind of revelations or certain moments of inspiration?
Yeah, it's like back to those bands like the Ramones or the Clash. Style is important, and I think, you know, we live in this like fast fashion society, but I think fashion used to be you dressed like a punk, so you found other punks, and it was a way of like signaling each other.
It was a communication device.
Yeah, it wasn't a version of getting likes or looking cool, you know?
Sure.
And I don't know about stylizing myself. I think I was just like me, but I absorbed it all. And I remember thinking, oh, if you hold the guitar up tight, you look like a dork, you know? But if you hold it too low, like I don't want to look like I'm like shopping at PacSun or something, because the whole pop punk thing was so relevant.
Apologies to PacSun.
Yeah, but we could bleep that out.
Yeah.
But for me, I was just a big fan of that, like Johnny Ramone power stance, legs spread wide, holding the guitar just low enough.
Yeah,
huge Metallica fan. Just the headbanging and the windmilling. And funnily enough, before Kiss, before the Ramones, I mean, the Power Rangers theme was a really big one for me. The hard rock guitars and stuff.
Well, you mentioned Pokemon too, so like, those theme songs back in the day were like, they were fabulous.
They were majestic. They gave you a sense of epicness, you know.
They were huge.
I'm huge on soundtracks. But I think the thing that started it all for me was AC/DC. Really was like seeing Angus Young, but also seeing how the other dudes, I don't know why I was so, like, I noticed it so well. Like, all the dudes were locked in. Everybody knew when to walk to the mic. It was so uniform being in a band. It was like, same thing with the Ramones. The way Dee Dee and Johnny go back and forth with each other, and Joey just commands.
Yeah.
But I think like developing myself as a performer, I was just so excited to get on stage. And to quote John Locke from Lost, like, don't tell me what I can't do. You know, I had so many teachers be like, you can't write a song. This isn't how you do it. I'm like, did the Ramones go to music school? Hell no, you know?
Yeah.
And that just motivated me to be louder and more aggressive on stage. And I understood that the stage was like a safe outlet. Like, I wouldn't be in a classroom at 15 doing that, you know? And it was a great place to put all this energy. And I became obsessed. A kid who couldn't focus all of a sudden was hyper-focused on riffs and teaching myself how to play and, you know, would watch every documentary and get a sense for everything.
I love asking people about vocal technique. I'm married to a musical theater person who's taught me a lot over the years about vocal folds and chords and scoping and all that stuff. And whenever I hear a record now that has like any kind of growling or screaming on it, I immediately get concerned. I'm like, oh God, careful with your throat, you know? But I mean, listening to your discography, there's a ton of just like vocal play in that gritty area. When did you start doing that, and how have you maintained it in a way that you're talking to me now?
Yeah, well, it's like I learned from the Minutemen.
Okay.
You got to jam Econo, you know? And it was like, I didn't have patience, so nobody wanted to sing. So I was like, I'll sing. I remember we got a band together. This was like my first real band. This was Acidosis. And we would practice in our drummer's garage, and there was no PA. The gear wasn't available 20 years ago like it is now, you know? Unless
you would hire the drummer because he had a drum kit.
Exactly. Which is how David Lee Roth got into Van Halen. They only hired him because he had a PA. Greatest frontman of all time. Anyways, I wanted to hear myself sing, and we would play on full volume, and I would just scream, and I brutalized my vocals. But that was my style. I had a voice. And I remember we would play shows, and people wouldn't have to worry. They'd be like, the mic could be on low. I'd be like, yeah. I stopped singing like that for a long time, running the label, all that stuff. And then I took that psychedelic mushroom trip, and I was like, metal's my favorite genre. I want to play the music I want to play. And I got back into doing that vocal style. James Hetfield from Metallica, he lost his voice on the Black Album tour.
That's right.
And I started doing this stuff. I was like, I don't want to do it the way I did, where I just force it from my throat.
Yeah.
So I do all these weird exercises. Like I saw Ozzy would do this thing where he gets on a treadmill and he has this 45-minute CD, and you do all these
Yeah.
And I just start vibrating the throat
It works.
And it kind of tricks the throat into ASMR, but liquefying the throat. All the saliva builds up.
Yeah. Smooth things out.
It's funny. I teach music when I'm not traveling, but teaching vocals is the hardest thing because you can't show somebody the inside of your throat. You got to be super metaphysical and spiritual with it. But I like to view it as the back of your throat has these two plates, and you just want to glide on them, and you don't really need to scream to get the same affliction. You just kind of got to trust that the microphone's going to do its job, and you get to the point where everybody screams, so they know what it's like to constrain your throat. But imagine instead of constraining, you're doing the same thing of wrapping, picture your hands around your throat.
Yeah.
And you're getting really close to the edge of the grind plates, as you will. And they're just slowly patting each other. It's like you're frying it, but it's not coming from a place of force. And then you can make it last longer. And in addition, I add a ton of instrumental sections throughout the set so I can rest my voice. But I don't really lose my voice anymore.
That's good. The guitar solos help with that.
Guitar solos help.
Yeah.
Getting the backup vocals. But I warm up, and people will see me at a show standing around with my mouth closed, and they'll be like, I'm warming up there just going, and I'll lift up the intensity. Kind of
you ease into it.
I ease into it.
Oh,
so by the time I hit the stage and it's ready to really punch, I've done all the groundwork.
Good. Let's just talk about shredding for a second, man.
I'm down.
Because I play acoustic. I never got into electric. I could never figure out tabs or anything like that. I came up as a worship leader doing acoustic music on a hill somewhere. You know what I mean?
That's still cool.
It was cool, but I imagine you started with reading tabs and reading sheets and kind of working stuff.
I'll tell you.
Oh, okay, hit me.
So when I said I found the sheet music earlier, right, from the
you
first song
I
wrote. Yeah. It wasn't sheet music. It was whatever I wrote down, and I had all my own methods. I have relatively good relative pitch.
That's great.
One of the reasons my mom put me in pianos, we had one, and I would find the notes. Even when I got my dad's guitar out of the closet out of watching School of Rock, I remember going through every note 5 times, and then I was like, all right, this one, and this one's going to make smoke on the water. You know what I mean?
You were just working this stuff out.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the artist's way, is just sit there until, if it doesn't work, try and fix it. You know what I mean? And
did you read The Artist's Way?
Oh, I'm halfway through it right now, dude.
I'm the only people talking about The Artist's Way are in the middle of The Artist's Way.
I mean, it's good. We could get into that after, but
that's not for this.
Yeah. But the shredding, I would teach myself by ear, and
cool.
I think that's what helps me now is I can jump into a situation and jam. I don't need to know what the chord is, or if I don't know it, I'll noodle a lick, and if I play a wrong note, I'll play it twice so it sounds like it's on purpose until I find that little thing. I kind of hated reading music. Now, if I went back to Berkeley, I would do it because as an adult, there's way more of a skill. But I trained myself by ear, and I do tabs, and I can read music now because I teach kids. But even to this day, I'm still going off my ears.
Yeah.
The way it was taught to me didn't make sense. It was here's the music, here's the notes. There was no here's how you would use this. Here's a real life situation you could compare this to. That's why when I teach kids now, it's like I change the lesson based on the person. You know, if a kid comes in and he's bummed, I'm like, why are you bummed? He's like, oh, this girl made fun of me today. I was like, well, here's a song about getting rejected by your crush. And I give them a reason to relate to the material. Yeah. And that helps a lot harder. And I didn't have that. You know what I'm saying?
Like kind of individualized attention.
Yeah,
sure.
you know.
Yeah. That's cool that you can give that now, though. That's really special.
I know. It's like self-healing in a way.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
There was a quote in that wonderful Rolling Stone article. It was from Sarah from Illuminati Hotties. She said that, you know, Ben's really technical and impressive, but he's thinking about the whole package, the merch, the show, the recordings. I get that feeling from you a lot, talking to you. Like, you're not just thinking about, like, how to play a song. You're thinking about how it feels. Is it relevant to the moment? Is it relevant to the person?
Yeah, and I think, again, that stems from, like, Kiss, where it's, like, the whole package. But for me, we were talking about artist identity. I might never be huge. I'm grateful for all the opportunities or something. But it is really cool when people come up to me at a show or on the street or something, and their compliments are always like, dude, so cool you do the art. So cool you do this.
Yeah, you do all your own album art, all your own everything.
Yeah, I mean, I do some stuff with my friend Juan Montoya, shouting him out.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the merch, a lot of the stickers, a lot of the videos. And the reason I do that is because every human is their own experience. And in that age of social media where everybody's trying to be something they're not, why not double down on yourself? I want people to have an experience when they come and rock out with me. And it's the same thing when I go and see a band like Illuminati Hotties. Sarah's songs are all done in her lyrical style. That's the way she talks. They're produced the way she likes to produce. She's got a great ear. She's got a great hooks, you know. All the bands I'm obsessed with, that's why I go to them, because I'm getting the whole thing. It sucks you in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I want to talk about the podcast a little bit.
Okay.
So you just launched, we're recording this pretty shortly after the first episode of the new show is out. Tell me about the impetus for it. For those who are unaware, it is Masters of Reality TV. The first episode is Poverty Shallow, the Survivor Traders Legend combo. Just released a book, I think.
She did. It rocks.
Things are crazy over there.
Yeah.
Is the podcast another form of self-expression, another way of communication? Maybe an angle that you haven't really explored publicly
Killer
before?
question. I think for me, if these mics weren't happening and me and you were hanging out, I think we'd be having a similar convo.
Yeah,
where
probably. Yeah.
We'd be asking each other, like, what makes you you?
Yeah.
I'm passionate about living and people and understanding how we all are. Probably stems from, like, nobody giving me the time of day as a kid and just feeling grateful to hang out.
Everything is kid
Relative,
stuff, I'm telling you, man.
But the podcast talk show idea stemmed really from, I'm friends with a lot of people. I've had a lot of cool experiences. Everybody's journey's different. When you're in this hustle, kids will come up to you on the street and be like, how do you do this? How do you do that? If I do this, I'm like, no two lanes are the same. And one of the reasons I'm interviewing everybody from reality stars to rock stars to 90s cult classic stars is because no journey's the same and everybody does it differently. And I think somebody at home who is a casual fan or a super fan or whatever might be interested in how people live their life as them. And I'm interested, you know, like I think I've done cool stuff, but I don't think I'm like a success or something like that. But somebody else might think that. And so it's cool to get other people in the room that I think are a success and hear their weird mirror reflection of that take. And
very human.
Yeah, like with Parvati, she's like a superstar in the world of reality TV for being like, you know, a flirt and really strategic and having an extreme sense of self.
Yeah.
My first question was, do you ever suffer from imposter syndrome? You know, like, which in hindsight, I'm like, that's so asinine. I would ask that.
It's pretty harsh out the gate. Yeah.
You know, but it opened up like a really cool conversation of like her talking about her childhood and growing up in a commune and how she had to navigate life. And I'm doing the same thing, you know, Marissa from Mannequin Pussy. She has a very crazy life and she also has a lot of self-belief, you know, and we talk about everything from ageism in the music industry as being like, you know, a woman in her 30s leading a punk band. That I think the big thing we take away as fans is that she's the owner of her destiny and she screams loud. But also there's a lot of struggle there. I've been on tours with Mannequin Pussy. I remember we both thought we were hot shit like 12 years ago, and we sold out a show in Brooklyn, and then the next day we're playing to 5 people in New Jersey. And we're like, do we pack it in or do we keep going?
Ooh.
And I think rather than the funniness of some of those stories, I hope what the audience takes away is that you can always bank on yourself and you can always attune yourself, and self-belief goes a long way. And I hope that's what people take away from it. It's me doing like Wayne's World meets like TED Talks or something, a shred talk, if you will.
I mean, that could have been the name of the podcast.
Instead, I named it after the third Black Sabbath album because
it's a really good name. It's a really good name. Speaking of really good names, where does Degreaser come from?
Back to that story about playing in Greece.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
I did not. Wait, is that connected?
Well, I was writing.
I did not put that together.
When running the label and all the stuff, I was getting a lot of attention in my early 20s. It was really cool to get all the magazines writing about me. It was really cool to tour the country and see records I worked on or released in other people's collections.
Mm-hmm.
And I always believed in myself, but something happened where I started thinking about validation from other people, which in high school I didn't give a crap. I would curse out my teachers when they said stuff and get in trouble or whatever. And I think I got lost in my own sauce a bit, and I was afraid to be like an outward romantic and wear my heart on my sleeve,
Mm-hmm.
And that character of Danny Zuko, he's like a bad boy who's really a sad boy, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And I resonated with it. So when I was writing all these songs like You Shred, but you're really just playing me, baby, about an ex who also played guitar.
That rules.
We're cool.
From high school? Yeah, we're good.
And Cool is the Rule, or whatever these early songs are. And you get lost. You like work so hard to get this small version of success. And then instead of sticking to your morals, I stuck to the breadcrumbs of, I didn't stick to what got me there. I chased the breadcrumbs. And I was really trying, I knew I wasn't in love with who I was. And I was like, I need to get back to like the core of who I am,
Cool.
And so I was watching Grease. It was like my comfort movie.
It's become your comfort movie.
It's up there. It's not my Letterboxd 4, but spiritually it is. I watched Grease. I was like, oh, yeah, Danny Zuko, that's me. You know how it is, rocking and rolling.
Not a theater kid.
Yeah,
but like
not a
Grease,
theater kid, but
Grease is so relevant.
But doing that play really hit me in high
Oh
school.
my gosh.
And that's where the band name came from. I was like, I need to drop this front. I'm going to degrease,
That is actually perfect. You are a very authentic version of yourself on stage and in all of your art. It's very clear. It's who you are. You go on an island for a reality show and you're being followed by camera crews day and night and you're there the whole time.
Yeah.
And no spoilers for a thing that came out years ago.
I mean, it's been out over a year, dude.
Yeah, at this point. But you're there the whole time. So it's how many days is it now? 27?
26?
26, I forget.
With no food?
Yeah. Are you able to keep the performance part out of it?
That was honestly such a good question because it was something I'm always myself, but
it
you give
changes
me a little
you.
bit of an audience.
We have cameras on right now. We're recording the interview. It changes the way you speak. It changes the way you act. And when it's 24/7 in a cage like that,
I'll tell you a little backstory. When Survivor came to me, it was the kind of thing of I had burnt myself out on all the early 20s stuff. That thing about chasing the likes. I quit music. I was
working at a Whole Foods?
Working at a Whole Foods, starting to teach again.
Yeah.
And MTV was after me for a bit. I wasn't that popular even on social media, so I was like, what weird universe crap is happening? Survivor came and I really viewed this. I was like, I want to play the game to play the game. But I'm aware of the attention this show is getting again, It
had a big reemergence
because COVID and all that.
The 40s
I viewed it as a second chance on life. Let's go with good intent. I think about my intent before everything I do.
Yeah.
And I went out there to be myself. I was like, Survivor's a game of deception. I'm all for people playing hard, Russell Hantz, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to know if, deprived of all of my comfort and security blankets, am I really myself? Or is this thing that you say is so authentic, maybe it is an act, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so I went on the island to be myself, and thank God I met Charlie and Tim. And I really got the space to be myself. What was funny about it was before the merge.
The merge is like the halfway point of the game.
point of the game.
For those who don't know. Yeah.
Everybody on production was quoting me. So like there was a challenge where I'm jumping off and Jeff goes, Ben, might as well jump right now, and starts throwing in I think 7 Van Halen references, right? And then the camera people, when they're walking behind you, all those shots, they're constantly around you.
Yeah.
Their slang is heading left, heading right. By day 2, shredding left, shredding right.
That's awesome.
So it was really cool to see me being myself, but also seeing it catch on.
It impacted.
And there was a point where people on the cast, I won't name who, but there's some drama queens, were starting to say, "Oh, Jeff sure likes you." And production one day to the next was like, Ben, we can't really do that anymore, So I was like, damn, well, I'm not going to not be myself, but it was funny seeing that come into the game. I was like, I got no control over what these people say, but it was weird having the cameras on, but you get used to it pretty quick. And, some people are out there to perform. I was on a season with Q, we're cool. I know Reddit's going to be like, oh, here's Ben going again. But some people live for that. I think by the time it came to really play, which is the halfway point of the game, I was so starved. I was so all I could commit to was you just got to be you. Yeah. Be yourself and the right things will align. And it's so funny. People think of Survivor as a reality show, but when you're out there, it really is kind of spiritual. It's you do have to make crazy decisions. And yes, it's for $1 million, but there's some people who make it to the end and don't win like me. There's some people who make it to the end and should win, and then they've pissed everybody off and weren't authentically themselves. And what I mean by that, for the Survivor fans listening, you have full disclosure, full credit to go and do all the backstabbing and stuff. But when you get to the end of the game, you do got to own it. And if you don't own it, if you don't own oh, I did that because I was playing the game, you're going to get screwed.
Yeah.
So in a way, you have to have intent.
Usually it's regular people go out there and the intensity of the scenario, of the environment affects them and changes them.
Yeah.
This is maybe the first time I've ever heard of it happening the other way, where someone was so definitively and uniquely themselves that the island shifted around them a little bit.
I tried.
That's special.
It was cool. I mean, for me, it's hard because I think my cast was really harsh towards me when I outlasted them. They took out some frustration, and it's gonna happen no matter what. It happens no matter, but it did mess with me then too. But I was able. I remember we got out of the game, and not nobody, but a few people didn't congratulate me for making it to the end.
Sure.
We all know who. And I remember.
I don't know.
I remember we got back to Ponderosa, which is where you detransition.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I didn't win. People were kind of rude to me at the end that I was friends with. But I was like, at least I set out to be me.
And you were.
And I did, and it went that way. And I'm grateful because I think people resonated with it. I was backstage at Primus last night, and some kids came up to me and were like, Ben rocks, and it's, do I want to be known for Survivor? I don't really care. It's cool. I'm glad I did it. It opened so many doors.
Yeah.
But the comment I get a lot from people who watch the show is, seeing somebody be themselves with their anxiety, their panic attacks, not changing, it made me feel better. And I'm like, you can't pay for that kind of experience. And I'm really grateful that the editors, I think, did right by me in a lot of ways.
You're the first person in the history of Survivor to ever say that, by the way.
Well, I'll wait till the camera's off. But no, but I really feel grateful, and it was hard, but when it came to all the things that didn't go my way, like we said, talking about on your deathbed, I don't have the $1 million, but it was a nice test for myself because I was really anxious before going on that show, being like, what's this going to mean? Will this affect my career? Will I have spotlight?
Sure. Yeah.
And it did in a lot of positive ways. And I think had I been more backstabby and maybe won or something like that, maybe it wouldn't have resonated with anybody and I'd be forgotten. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'll be forgotten by the time the next season's on anyways. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Some people aren't, man. Some people linger. I have a lightning round for you, Ben.
Let's rock.
We're going to do a little game of rock or not rock.
Okay.
This was your idea, and I liked it a lot, so I stole it.
Charlie's idea.
Idea. I liked it a lot, and I stole it.
Okay.
I'm just going to list some things, and some of them are more relevant than others. So you're from Miami. You're from Florida. So I'm going to start off with Cubanos.
Rocks.
Tell me why.
Delicious. As a lifelong vegetarian vegan who broke because a Survivor needed protein, there's a great way to back into it. And it's like, it's a sandwich known around the world, but it's like when you're from Miami, it's your sandwich,
It
you
is.
know?
Absolutely. Nick Cage, very relevant.
Rocks.
Very relevant
Rocks
to your
hard.
story.
Nick Cage is one of those people. I think people think he's an act. I got to meet him. I think he's very aware. I think he gives his performances 100% self-expression at its finest.
Hell yeah. Tenacious D.
Tenacious D rocks.
Yeah.
I will say on my totem pole of things I love about Jack Black, Tenacious D does not rank the highest. Nacho Libre is probably the best, the underdog story. But Tenacious D obviously rules. Pick of Destiny's great. I think that movie, if I had never seen it, I would have lived it either way. You know what I mean?
Boston Rob.
Boston Rob, grateful for his existence. Do I think he rocks? Yes. But this whole thing, I'm going to get heated. Camilla said it best. Listen, Rob, we haven't chilled. I would love to hang out and talk poker with you. I feel like you would Boston Rob me so hard if we hung out. You intimidate me, man. So maybe he does rock. I don't know.
There you go. It's a verb. I don't know why I wrote this down. Do you cook a lot?
My parents are cooks.
Your parents are cooks. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. You came up in a kitchen. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you feel about like I was like I have bagged salads written down. Like, how do you feel about like pre-made meals, TV dinners, that kind of thing?
I mean, my parents were not junk food supporters, even though they had a bakery. But as a kid, if I could rip a Lunchables pizza or Oreos, like that's the thing. It's like my music taste and my movie taste. You got lowbrow and highbrow, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So bring it on, dude. Kids cuisine.
Dude.
I still once in a while, this is maybe the grossest thing I do, but we'll be on tour and I'll be like emotional in the back of the van after a 10-hour ride, and they'll have those like campfire SpaghettiOs where you peel the lid. I'll just go for it right there in the gas station, you know?
Hell yeah. Award shows, Oscars, Emmys, Tonys.
Does not rock.
Does not rock.
I'll tell you, I think it is cool to be appreciated. I think would I love an Oscar or an Emmy or a Grammy? Absolutely. Sarah Tudson has one. It's so sick.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a sign of success. What I don't like about a lot of them is that I don't think they're voted for by the people who actually care. I think, it came out that Oscar voters don't even watch the movies.
Sometimes.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, like what's like a bad movie that won an Oscar?
Was it Green Book or whatever? But,
Oh yeah, the most factually incorrect movie. Voted on by a bunch of people afraid to get canceled in an industry or something.
A little bit.
With the Grammys and stuff and with the Oscars, it's like nobody spends their time absorbing the art they're voting for or the story behind it. I think if somebody had watched the Green Book and they realized that dude's manager was kind of like a racist, they wouldn't vote for a movie that paints him as like a savior, you know what I mean? But yeah, it doesn't rock. Award show after parties, totally rock,
There we go.
But I think the best award you can have is a small interaction with people that seem to be grateful, or anytime you're at a show, the fans make you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if there's an award voted by the fans, I'm down. If I got a Nickelodeon's Kid Choice
I was going to say
Award,
Kids' Choice Awards.
rocks, that ain't the case at, the Tonys or something.
Yeah, man. All right. We're coming to the end, man. Tell people where they can find you if you want to be found.
You could go into the mirror and say shred 3 times. There's a chance I'll appear. But I think the coolest thing you could do for me would be, my socials, Instagram, TikTok, Ben Katzman at BKDegreaser69 or Masters of Reality TV. But I'm always around. I just like to hang out. And I'm always down to have a conversation. I'm fascinated by you. As they say, I am you and you are me and we're all together. John Lennon, Liam Gallagher. Let's chill hard, dude.
And you can learn more about us at AT1 Radio. That's AT_1_radio on Instagram.
I will say, not to be Wayne and Garth,
Hit me.
but, if there was a way to do a podcast, the best would be with Audio Technica. It sounds so crystal clear. I think it should be the choice of a generation.
I agree.
But, yeah, Audio Technica rips. I mean, we use it on I told you I used to work in a studio, Mystic Valley Recording.
Right on, yeah.
Run by the drummer of American Nightmare, played in Piebald, Saves the Day. Guy gave me my foot in the door.
Yeah.
I was like 18. But, dude, these mics, these headphones, these are the things we use. And I know they're highbrow. I also do think, there's ways to make great art with no money and no technology. That's the coolest thing about having a phone. But Audio-Technica totally rips.
Hell yeah, man. And you can check out those headphones, mics, turntables, all that on audiotechnica.com, audio-technica.com. Ben, thanks so much for doing this, man.
Thanks so much for having me.
A, E, 1.